So, hello everyone. Very happy to be back here with you all to sit here and at IMC and welcome you into the IMC orbit, the IMC community for this Monday morning. And it's pretty special that I have this opportunity to be with you in this way, and it's pretty special that there's such a wonderful, rich sense of community that's forming just from the chats. And for those of you not reading or writing in the chats, I just know that this is that those chats kind of exhibit a very warm community, kind of warm-hearted, supportive community that gathers for these meditations. So, probably for some of you, maybe for many of you, one of the challenges of meditation is having a wise relationship with thinking. And some of you maybe think a lot in meditation, and it becomes more time for thinking than it is time for meditation. Some of you might struggle with your thinking, and maybe even think that your thinking is an enemy and something you have to fight against. For this meditation, I would like you to be allowed to think, and I'll offer some guidance through the sitting around thinking. Certainly, you can be centered in your breathing while you're aware that you're thinking. You don't have to let go of your thoughts, but to be curious about them, to see them clearly for what they are, to, in a sense, stand away from them and look back at them. Oh, this is thinking. Yes, this is what my thinking is about. Get to know your thinking, but maybe a little bit like getting to know someone who's speaking a foreign language you don't understand. And what are some of the things you can pick up to this person who's thinking all along breathing in, breathing out, almost like breathing is the beat to the music, and the music is your thinking. So to begin by assuming a appropriate posture for you that supports your ability to be both relaxed and alert. Alert and relaxed. And no matter what posture you normally take, is there some way of straightening out the spine, adjusting so that your shoulder blades are a little bit going down your back, so that your chest comes out a little bit in a way that might even look like a posture of confidence. Gently lower your gaze and feel the effect that lowering your gaze has. And then seeing what effect closing the eyes has. Close the eyes. And then seeing what effect it has on you to slowly take some deeper breaths, comfortably deep, with comfortably long exhales. Continue taking some deeper breaths. And now on the exhale, relax your body. Relax particular parts, the whole body. And see what the effect is on you. And that part of your body that relaxes, on your whole body, on your heart, on your mind. And then noticing what shifts and what happens to you, let your breathing return to normal. Be with your normal breathing and see what's happening now as a consequence of normal breathing. And then with normal breathing, continue the process of relaxing your body. But maybe almost imagining that relaxing is like a door that opens or a slide you slide down. And as the door is fully opened or they come to the bottom of the slide, how are you? What's shifted and changed? Being open and receptive to what effect the relaxing has had. So as you exhale, relaxing the belly. As you exhale, relaxing the chest. Relaxing the shoulders. Relaxing the muscles of your face. And again, seeing what effect it has on you. On the exhale, relax the thinking mind. Calming the thinking mind. Support for calming the mind, thinking mind, is to be reassuring for it. be a reassuring attention, a reassuring attendant to how the thinking mind might be anxious or upset. And then centering yourself on the body, breathing. Maybe the movements of the belly or the chest. And even following one full cycle of breathing in and breathing out, resting with it, being receptive to it. What effect does it have on you? Feeling the rhythm of breathing in and breathing out. And with breathing as the rhythm, as the beat, also be aware of your mind thinking. You're allowed to think, but know you're thinking. As if thinking is happening between your breathing, around it. Just as you can hear the drum beat together with the other music, know the beat of the breathing together with the music of thinking. And as you're aware of thinking, what effect does the thinking have on you? Does it project a mood or a tone? Does it contribute tension or relaxation? Are your thoughts harmless whispers? Or are they intense demands for attention? In whatever way you're thinking, it's fine. Breathe with it. Breathe through them. Keep the beat going. A steady beat. If you find yourself thinking, it's fine. Breathe with it, allow your thinking to be there, as if breathing is a gentle wind blowing through the thoughts. And notice what influence, impact, mood does thinking cast upon you? And how might that change if you see clearly thinking and the influence it has? And in the last couple of minutes here before starting to end, how have these minutes of meditation affected your thinking? Has the nature of your thinking changed? Has the mood behind your thinking changed? Has the strength of thinking changed? Has the space or the stillness or the silence around thoughts become bigger? And then as we come to the end of the sitting, to think now about the people in your life, the people that you care for, the people for whom you have friendly regard, friends, family, neighbors, co-workers, people you know about from books or talks that you've listened to. And in whatever friendly regard you have for them, think about them and what elicits friendliness, what you appreciate. And feel the influence of those thoughts on you. And then letting your kind regard open now as wide and expansive as possible. Wishing that any benefit from this meditation can be for the welfare and happiness of others. May others be happy. May others be safe. May others be peaceful. May others be free. May all beings be safe, and may we contribute to that possibility. Thank you. So hello and welcome. On this Monday, when we begin a new series of new topic for the week. And maybe because I just came from meditating for a week or teaching for the week on a retreat, somehow what's surfaced for me is to want to talk about is thinking. And a very important part of a wise life is becoming wise about our thinking. Often enough, I think for many people, thinking happens on automatic pilot. And we just take our thinking for granted that this is how it should be. And thinking just churns out whatever thoughts it does, and we just go along for the ride. And the thoughts that we have can have a huge influence on us. And if we just on automatic pilot, just allowing those thoughts to be there and have that influence on us, it can be quite detrimental. As I like to say, that some psychologists believe that one of the leading causes for depression is rumination. If we are thinking thoughts which are not pleasant, that having one of those thoughts might be just a small little drop of unpleasantness or unpleasant effect on us. But if we have the same kind of thought over and over and over again throughout the day, it begins wearing us down. It begins filling us with unpleasantness that comes along with them. So if those thoughts are self-criticism of any kind, if we're constantly having thoughts about our shame or our guilt or our inadequacy or our whatever it might be, the frequency of those thoughts are never questioned. Maybe to some degree all those might be true, so that they warrant a few thoughts and reflection and consideration. But there's no need to have thoughts like that repeatedly over and over and over again. It's if anybody talked as repeatedly as we might be talking to ourselves, we would wonder about their mental health, or they seem like they're quite foolish. But we don't question the foolishness of ourselves having the same thought. Thinking can be automatic. It can be, we take it for granted. This is how things should be. So to start becoming mindful of thinking is hugely important. Some people have no clue how to do this. And some of this might be because we have a variety of different cognitive abilities, ways in which the mind cognizes, understands our life. And some of those are can be kind of pre-verbal. They're kind of pre-verbal or non-verbal ways of understanding and processing. However, there's also verbal ways. There's the inner voice, the inner speech that we have. Some people don't have an inner speech, they have inner images that they produce. But whether it's images or inner speech, it tends to follow the rules of our language. It tends to follow the story, the narrative that inner speech can make. And so to become aware of how this works for us. And one interesting discovery is, do you think mostly in images or mostly in words when you're actively thinking? And then as you think, what influence does that thinking have on you? Is it uplifting? Is it energizing in a nice way? Is it agitating? Is it make you sad? Does it make you feel shame or embarrassment or deflated? What's the influence that the thoughts have? Thoughts do not need to influence us. They do not need to come along with a mood that sets the mood up for how we have to feel. But it's hard to tease those apart. I've sat, quietly, and then I've thought about when my kids were young. My thought would come up about some danger they're in. Something might happen, and sometimes it would come up. This image or idea would come up suddenly, and I could feel the influence it had was fear throughout my body, and but they weren't in any imminent danger. They were, but those thoughts, those images that I had cast this incredible spell on my body. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's possible to have clear enough attention, recognition, that in a certain way is stronger than the influence of the thoughts. It's like going to a horror movie and we feel afraid. There's fear. But if you look around the theater and see there's people eating popcorn and falling asleep or doing what they do in theaters, then you're not absorbed in the images on the screen, and maybe the images don't affect you as much. Or if you start looking at the cinematographic techniques used with the movie, then you're not so caught in the story, you're not lost in it, and it doesn't have such a big effect. So to step back and kind of look, what influence does thinking have? So the kind of inner voice, the images, the way of thinking might be discursive. And the word discursive, in the way I use it, it might not be quite what the dictionary says. That one is just rambling thoughts, kind of going this way and that way, and running around and to this and that thought, and just kind of maybe random. But I also think of it as carrying on a discourse, carrying on a conversation in our mind. And it could be a conversation that we're judging ourselves and thinking about all that's bad. It could be a conversation about planning what's going to have, imagining the future. It could be a conversation about what happened in the past, repeating it over and over again. It could literally be a conversation that you're imagining with another person, and you're even filling in their part of the conversation. And so it's a relatively active and energetic way of having a conversation in the mind, or jumping around from one topic to another, but still kind of carrying on a conversation. So the inner voice is speaking, or the inner projector is projecting images of all this kind of stuff. And if these are taken for granted, this is the way it has to be, then we're really limiting the capacity, limiting the full richness of what our inner life, mental life can be about. So to recognize, I'm having a conversation, I'm having a movie of what's going to come, and this is the influence it has. Wow, look at that influence. And what difference does it make to you when you recognize you're having a conversation, recognize your inner voice is kind of going along, and it has an effect on you, on your mood, your energy, how you understand yourself. And is that influence necessary? Do we need to believe every thought? Do we need to be affected by every thought? Like, do we need to, go to horror movies all the time? Do we need to go, to be, not that all thoughts are scary, but they can be angry and they can be critical, or what influence do they have? And what difference does it make when you know and recognize that influence? So this can be subtle. It could be very, very strong. The subtle, as I said, to do it for a long period of time, for hours, repeatedly coming back to it, can have a huge impact on our life and how we understand ourselves and affect ourselves. And we don't have to believe every thought we have. We don't have to be under its influence, emotionally, mood-wise. We don't have to, or what we think does not have to agitate us or depress us. We can just breathe with it, breathe through it. Breathing is a bit of a protection. Not that we have to stop thinking, but it's a bit of protection so that we have a more balanced perspective of thinking and our involvement with them and how they influence us. And so to learn the art of breathing through the thinking mind, to breathe alongside of breathing. That way, the mental energy doesn't go all into the thoughts. There's something else, another perspective, another balancing force while we're thinking. I think this is one reason why some people like to go for a walk when they're really troubled. It's kind of like you go for a walk with yourself. It's like almost like having a friend. It's kind of like something else is going on rather than being caught in your mind. So it gives a fresh perspective. It breaks up the hegemony of thinking that it has on us. So the same thing with breathing. Breathing can be kind of like going for a walk with oneself, accompanying it, breathing through. And then maybe a little shield, gentle shield, or a gentle wind that blows away that influence that the thoughts might have on us otherwise. And does that help us to see our thinking in a wiser way? Does that help us to reconsider, to question, are these thoughts true? Are they useful? And is there a better way to think? Are there better thoughts to have? And what might those be? And if there are better thoughts to have, consciously, deliberately begin having those thoughts. You're allowed to have a sense of deliberateness with what you think, as opposed to just being the victim of whatever the mind wants to spew out or run. You can actually choose. Maybe not for a long time, but you can break the chain and think about things which are reasonable and true, and things which are uplifting and supportive, things that are wise. And take your mind for a walk so that the thinking mind, the discursive mind, doesn't have the upper hand. And then the next few days I'll talk about different kinds of thinking, different ways of thinking. Because if we only know, if we never thought about it, never really understood all the different aspects of thinking, then we might be very limited in how we think, and therefore more likely to be the victim of how we think. So as we learn new ways of thinking, that can set us free in many ways. So thank you for this, and I look forward to continuing tomorrow.